Mark Twain had the first private phone in New England. Here are some fascinating stories about Mark Twain. 1. He wasn't expected to live. Mark Twain was born Samuel Langhorne Clemens. He was born 2 months prematurely. Samuel was the sixth of 7 children. Only 3 of them survived to adulthood. He remained sickly until 7 years old. 2. He plugged his own work. Mark Twain's first novel was The Innocents Abroad. It became a huge success after a raving review. The anonymous reviewer was Mark Twain himself. 3. His pen name came from steamboat piloting. In riverboat jargon, Mark Twain means Mark number 2. It's a depth of 2 fathoms or 12 feet. This depth was enough for a steamboat to navigate. Twain spent 2 years as a riverboat pilot on the Mississippi. 4. He met the Russian Tsar. Twain met Alexander II in 1867 when traveling on the Quaker City. The Tsar was holidaying at his summer palace in Yalta. Twain also met Rudyard Kipling and Thomas Edison. Edison filmed him at his home in Reading, Connecticut. 5. Twain loved new technology. He was one of the first writers to use a typewriter. He was also the first phone user in Connecticut. Twain had a telephone installed in his home. 6. He studied parapsychology. Mark Twain's brother died in a steamboat boiler explosion. Twain claimed he'd first seen the death in a dream. He turned to parapsychology afterward. He was one of the first members of the Society for Psychical Research. This society is still active today. 7. Mark Twain went bankrupt. Twain made a lot of money through his writings, but he lost most of it in bad investments. One of his failures was investing in the Page Compositor. It was a mechanical typesetter, but it was so complicated to use that it never took off. Twain filed for bankruptcy, but later rebounded. 8. He served as a Confederate soldier. Twain joined a Confederate militia early on. This was due to the Southern roots rather than ideology. The militia disbanded after 2 weeks. They never saw any fighting. 9. Twain wrote most of his books in bed. He even lay in bed when reporters came to interview him. His philosophy was simple.
I have never taken any exercise except for eating and resting, and I never intend to take any.
10. He invented a new board game. Twain created a game called Memory Builder. It was initially an outdoor game. Twain designed it to help his children learn about England's monarchs. Then he turned it into a commercial board game. The rules were so complicated, it failed to attract interest. 11. Twain loved cats so much, he rented them. At one point he kept 19 cats at home. When traveling, he would rent cats to keep him company.
If man could be crossed with the cat, it would improve man, but it would deteriorate the cat.
Mark Twain. 12. His autobiography was published 100 years after his death. The autobiography of Mark Twain was his last work. Twain put a 100-year embargo on its publication. He died in 1910, and the book only came out in 2010. It became an instant bestseller.
Do not put off until tomorrow what can be put off till day after tomorrow just as well.
Mark Twain